Welcome. In this short video, we'll give you a brief update on the status of CAIDA. What you see on the screen right now is the entire collection of CAIDA data. This is a collection of just below 17,000 first-hand field observation reports. That's over 100 years worth of precious field work. These are some of the best information on forest health for the state of California that you can find. Here, for example, in El Dorado County, you will find one of the oldest records. This one would be a pest condition report from 1910. It reported some general insects condition on some ponderosa pine and big leaf maple stand. And here you will find one of the latest reports we have in the database. That would be a report, a pest condition report from last year. This was a report about some boring insects on coast live oak right here. Right at this spot. The data is ready for download as a Google Earth KMZ file as of today, January 29, 2013. We made it available as a Google Earth KMZ file because that will make it very easy for just about anybody to use the data. Through Google Earth, you can not only view the data geographically, as you see here, you can also inquire about the attributes, in other words, information regarding each report through its attribute table, as we are demonstrating here. The attributes we provided in this release is a collection of the majority of the original information we digitized into the database. Probably sufficient for most purposes. And if you are a little bit more GIS savvy, the data is also ready for download as a shapefile. And of course, once you have the shapefile and you have the proper software, you can conduct very quickly all kinds of geospatial analysis and modeling using the data. And certainly, if you are interested, especially for our internal Forest Service users, you can also get a copy of their very original Access database containing the entire database and all the attributes that have been digitized into the database, as well as the associated tables. The Google Earth KMZ, the ArcGIS shapefile, and the Access database are all ready for download as of today. It might also be worthwhile taking this opportunity to quickly review and go through yet again what CAIDA is about and how it got started. And just in case you forgot, or if you're not familiar with CAIDA already, CAIDA refers to the California Insect and Disease Atlas. It started back in 2007, I believe, and it was intended to be an advanced database for all forest health related data. It all started when one of our former colleagues, Mike Bonner, who noticed there were a lot of historic pest condition reports sitting around in different offices across this entire region in their original paper format. He thought it was important to preserve these historic records. So CAIDA started originally as simply an effort to digitize all these historic PDRs into a simple database. And of course, the scope of the work has been greatly expanded over the years, and we've come a long way. Today, everything, as you saw in the previous slide, are all digitized into one single small access database. With that conversion came all these opportunities to actually make some good use of all that historic pest condition reports, and in ways that one probably couldn't have imagined, thanks to all this new technology, especially the GIS technology. Here are some examples of what you can do very quickly and easily once you have the data in a digital database format. Here, what you see is a summary of all the PDRs we collected from 2009 to 2011 of the 5 most reported pests in the region. Another similar example, but this time it's a summary of the 5 most reported hosts from 2009 to 2011. And one more example of simple application. Here is a summary of the 5 most reported counties. Now, once you have a digital database, all this kind of statistics can be generated very easily and very quickly and in very many different ways, depending on exactly what information you are looking for. But better yet, thanks to GIS, you can not only make all those tabular summaries, you can also make some really nice maps and graphic illustrations. For example, here on the left, what you see is a map showing the locations of all the PDRs collected from 2011, overlaid on top of the county boundary lines and the national forest polygons. You can very easily see where they are and get an idea of the geographic distribution. Now on the right is a much more interesting example of how you can use the data with GIS. The blue dots are all the PDR reports from 2011, and underneath it is a hotspot density map generated from all the historic pest condition reports. The dark red areas are where the historic reports are more concentrated. The idea here, as an example, is to see if the collections from 2011 actually matched the historic pattern or deviated from it. And of course, using the same 2 sets, you can generate all kinds of other interesting analyses. And here is a view of the Access database data entry form itself. Many of you have already used this tool, so you're familiar with it. And here you can really dig into the detailed information recorded and preserved in the database itself, and of course manage and edit the data. Over the last few years, we have also been collaborating with UC Berkeley Geospatial Innovation Facility to develop an online mapping portal for CAIDA. The concept is to provide a toolset through the internet for us to access the data, interact with the data, and not only to view the data but also to actually enter and edit the data itself. What you see here is something a little bit more interesting and just actually a small pilot. If you pay attention to the top bars, and you notice this is actually a screen capture from a phone. Indeed, this is an Android phone, and what you are seeing here is a CAIDA data displayed through the ArcGIS.com app that's available in Android Marketplace. Now, this is not a full-fledged development or application, but the intention was to demonstrate that there is already a mobile technology available for us to utilize the data. So again, from the very beginning, only paper form available, sitting around in cardboard boxes across the region in different offices where nobody know they existed, and very difficult, if possible at all, to make use of them, to now everything is digitized and stored in modern database. Not only the tabular information, but also the geographic data set, which we can very easily and quickly make use of to develop all kinds of interesting products. It's probably fair to say we've come a long way. But even with that, some may still just see a glass that is half empty. The arguments mostly are that these are really old reports and from very limited sources. And speaking of sources, so far the data we have in the database consists of the historic pest condition reports we have in this region, and of course new pest condition reports. By new, we're referring to from 2009, and the PSW pest trend impact plots data, and the data from the historic insect and disease database we developed many years ago, and a few reports from aerial survey program. But we probably should see this more as a glass that's already half full with more water coming into it. Personally, I prefer to see this a platform. And as new reports coming in, as we getting more data from additional sources, the database will only become more and more useful if we know how to use it. And exactly because of that, FATED actually adopted this idea. They developed a pest observation database in the pest event report portal, mirrored entirely the CAIDA structure. Now, the reason they developed this is because they wanted to have something to support the pest event report database. The PER is a national program. By year end, all regions are supposed to provide summaries of the pest conditions in each region into this PER database. Now, each record in this provided into this PER database is supposed to be a summary of an important pest event. Now, these kind of summaries are great to provide a big picture view of the pest condition in the nation. However, because of it, their summaries, they don't have detailed information. It certainly would be very nice to have some actual field data to back up those summarized stories. Therefore, this idea of the pest observation database. The development of the past observation database has already been completed, and having played with it a few times, I can see that I really liked it. It provides all the functionalities that we have in the Access version of CAIDA interface and more. The most important addition is this one. This is actually an online mapping interface. Now remember, we need to provide the geographic coordinates for the site in the Access database, and you can do the same here, but more. Once you typed in the coordinates, this mapping portion would actually in real time display the location of the point as you entered. This allows you to see in real time if you made any mistake, because if you're for certain coordinate systems, for example the geographic coordinates, one little mistake, it could be many miles off. In addition, you can actually drop a point by just simply click on that location, and this makes it very convenient. So I'm really looking forward to the implementation of this pest observation database, and hopefully that will happen this year. So in summary, what we have today is indeed an advanced database for forest health data. We have the data digitally, and the database is built upon relational structure, and we also have the spatial representation of all the records. In other words, we have the spatial layers for the data that will enable us to do all kinds of cool stuff. And personally, I am especially excited about the past observation database FATAD has developed. I sincerely hope we can implement it this year, because for one thing, it will allow us to actually have a centralized workflow, and rather than what we're doing today, which is having everybody to enter their individual data into their own copy of the Access database and then send me all the records, having us here to then enter the data and compile them into the central database. It will be much more efficient to have an online centralized database where everybody access the same copy, interact with the same copy, so everybody will see the same thing in real time, which will avoid a lot of headaches, to say the least. So again, we have just finished the latest compilation of CAIDA database, the Access database, the shapefile, and a Google Earth KMZ version of the data layer are all ready for download. If you have any additional question, please feel free to contact us. And as always, we'll welcome any suggestions and comments. And at this time, we would love to encourage a discussion regarding the future of CAIDA and where we want to take it.